terrorist, counter-terrorist, headshot, bomb, defusal kit, eco-round, scouts knives, 1.6, source, condition 0, nuke, dust 2, Aztec, compound, running faster with a knife, 1482, jumping, rushing, surfing, flash, frag.
To most this is just gibberish, but to millions around the world it's an obsession. Since Counter-Strike first appeared in 1999, it's been played in bedrooms all around the world and at the forefront of competitive gaming.
And as we near the release of Valve's latest in the chapter Global Offensive, we thought it time to check up on an old friend, to remind ourselves what it was about CS we fell in love with, and to try and explain to all these new gamers what all the fuss was about.
Plus, we did that Half-Life episode a couple of weeks back and I kinda got addicted again.
Seminal first-person shooter Half-Life had one of the healthiest modding communities of all time, with amateur programmers and artists creating hundreds of single and multiplayer full conversion mods for years after the game's release. One of those programmers was Min Le, a Vietnamese Canadian studying at Simon Fraser University. Le started his journey in modding in 1996 with the Quake software development kit, and the following year he used it to create his first mod, Navy SEALs. Later he would go on to work on a sequel to the popular Quake mod Action Quake. It was here that he would come up with the idea for Counter-Strike, and also where he met Jess Cliff, Virginia Tech student and webmaster for the Action Quake 2 website.
In partnership, they would create a series that would be shared and played by their peers the world over, go on to sell over 27 million units, and dominate online multiplayer for years.
Before Counter-Strike, the multiplayer flavour of the day was straight up deathmatch. Quake 1 and 2 ruled the roost, and multiplayer-only games like Unreal Tournament and Quake 3 were on the horizon. Unlike these games, CS focused on teamwork with an elegant yet deep formula.
For those of you who've never played Counter-Strike, this is basically how it works.
There are two teams, terrorists and counter-terrorists. Each team has a home area where they start from, and there are no respawns. If you die, you wait for the next round to start and think about what you've done. Victory can be achieved by killing every member of the opposing team, or depending on the map, completing your team's mission objective. Maps are split into different game modes, the most popular of which are hostage rescue and bomb planting. In hostage or CS maps, the counter-terrorists can achieve victory by finding the hostages and bringing them back to their spawn point. In bomb or DE maps, the terrorists can win by successfully planting a bomb on one of two bomb sites and protecting it while it counts down to detonation. The flip side to this is the counter-terrorists can defuse the bomb and win themselves. In fact, if a bomb is planted in one of these maps, they have to defuse it to win. Even if all the terrorists are killed, the terrorists will win if the bomb explodes.
Terrorists win.
Teams are usually 5v5 in competitions, but these can range on public servers. Both teams spawn simultaneously and have a few seconds to buy weapons and equipment. The amount of cash at your disposal to buy these depends on your performance. Actions like kills, round wins, or successfully completing objectives earn you money. You lose money if you shoot the hostages, which really is a shame because it's great fun. The two teams have a different set of weapons to choose from, but they're pretty well balanced. Players on both teams start with a knife and can buy equipment like grenades, Kevlar or helmets. CTs also have the option to buy defusal kits, which speed up bomb defusals.
There are no unlocks, perks or mods, just your wits and reactions.
Mechanically, Counter-Strike plays very different to modern shooters. Health doesn't regenerate and bullets create a lot more damage. Headshots are devastating too, and with the pinpoint accuracy of a mouse and keyboard, relatively easy to master with some training. This means that you really had to aim for the head in Counter-Strike because, well, the other guy was aiming at yours. What's worse is damage taken, be it from bullets, grenades or falling, made your character's movement slow down for a second. So in most situations, once you'd actually taken fire once, it was better to try and kill the other guy than attempt to run away. In fact, precision movement was a critical part of Counter-Strike. Any advantage you could gain over the opposition team needed to be utilised. Knives were rarely used in battle, but very handy while rushing the enemy because for some reason you ran faster with one. Map knowledge, expertly timed reloading, and moving just enough to force the enemy sniper to miss you were essential to survival.
And believe me, unlike most modern shooters, if the alternative to survival is sitting on your hands watching everyone else finish the round, you make sure you don't run in all guns blazing.
But it wasn't always so finely balanced. In fact, many would say it still isn't, which is why certain weapons like the AWP sniper rifle are banned on many servers. But CS is a game that was genuinely created by the people who played it, not dissimilar to Minecraft really. The programmers fought a constant battle with people trying to hack or exploit bugs in the game for competitive advantage.
One hilarious exploit used to drive people absolutely insane. There was this bug where if two terrorists piggybacked each other on the bomb site, they could actually plant the bomb floating in mid-air. So even if the CTs managed to clear the entire area, they needed at least two guys to disarm it, one to crouch underneath the bomb and one to hop up on his head and actually disarm it. It was like the most irritating thing in the world if it happened to you, but kind of completely genius.
Then there were more malicious hacks like aimbots, wall hacks, speed hacks, recoil hacks and more. Over the course of these early days, new maps were created, old ones improved or dumped, spawn points were shifted, sniper lanes shortened, chat between alive and dead people stopped, gun scopes added and removed, and bunny hopping added and removed. The game had hundreds of official and user-created maps, the most popular of which included Dust, Dust 2, Italy, Aztec, Nuke, Office, Chateau, Havana, and Scouts Knives, in which you can only use Scouts. Or knives. For many, the peak of Counter-Strike's playability came with the release of version 1.6. This was the last downloadable patch for Counter-Strike, as its release coincided with Valve's launch of Steam in September of 2003. Though it still received updates via Steam, this version of CS has ever since been known as 1.6, mostly to differentiate itself with Counter-Strike Source.
Counter-terrorists win.
And also because nobody talks about Condition Zero.
Condition Zero was a boxed version of CS released in March 2004. It had a single-player mode where players would unlock maps by passing certain objectives while playing as a CT. It also had a few extra weapons, such as a Molotov cocktail, tear gas, and a rocket launcher.
The story of Condition Zero's development is telling of Valve's mixed success with the franchise.
Started by Rogue Entertainment in 2000, who went defunct the next year, Valve picked up the project before handing it off to Half-Life 1 expansion pack developers Gearbox Software soon after. Gearbox all but started from scratch, adding new effects and a single-player mode. After it missed its 2002 deadline, it was handed over to Ritual Entertainment, who remade the game into a purely single-player experience with 20 unconnected missions. Early reviews of this game saw an average score of 60%, forcing Valve to retract the gold status, drop most of Ritual's work, and pass it over to newly formed Turtle Rock, who would later go on to make Left 4 Dead, who started back where Gearbox had left off. The final game was essentially Gearbox's work with 12 extra missions from Ritual's single-player portion, known as deleted scenes. And after all that, sadly it was still pretty crappy. Later that year, on November 1st, 2 weeks before the arrival of Half-Life 2, Valve released Counter-Strike Source, an entirely new beast who would change the face of CS forever.
For better or for worse, depending on who you talk to.
Source was a massive technical improvement over 1.6. Using Valve's new Source engine, it brought improved graphics and physics to our favourite maps. Obviously, this total overhaul meant changes in how the game fundamentally felt and controlled, leading to many sticking to 1.6. Mostly it just made things fall around in funny ways, and naturally, being a Counter-Strike game, players found ways to exploit this, like creating barriers out of furniture. Source has been frequently updated since launch, and last year received a large update to its UI, which added many of the engine trappings from Team Fortress 2, and unlike its predecessors, it's also available on Mac. Such was the popularity of Counter-Strike that it spawned a series of games within its game. Jump maps, for instance, where players would attempt to scale an increasingly high set of pillars, spikes and walls. And Gun Game, a mod that was literally robbed wholesale, name and all, by Call of Duty Black Ops.
Source gave rise to its own selection of crazy mods, probably the most bizarre of which was the world of surf maps, something I'm very proud to say I was completely addicted to back in college.
Because of some crazy Source engine trickery, it's possible to gain incredible amounts of momentum by quickly strafing into curved surfaces. Once map makers had realised this, they set about creating large open maps with curved floating platforms for people to fly around. Fall off the edge of one of these maps and you're brought to jail until you're killed or broken out by one of your teammates.
Nobody ever seems to win a game of surf map, but everyone involved has this sort of collective pride in knowing they're part of one of gaming's weirdest communities.
As popular as CS was in the US and Europe, Valve didn't really have much of a foothold in Asia's gaming market. They combated this in 2008 by releasing the curiously titled Counter-Strike Online. It was developed by the super-friendly sounding Nexon Corporation under oversight from Valve. It has some noticeable differences to the Western version. First of all, it had female playable characters and a microtransaction system using their in-game currency, Gash.
So if a lady terrorist wanted to acquire a new weapon, she could purchase it with her Gash.
I haven't actually played it myself, but from YouTube footage it looks completely insane. The main action looks like CS 1.6, but most of these modes seem to be about killing zombies. And they even had a special World Cup 2010 mode where you literally just played soccer. Sort of like the 1.6 mod Soccer Jam, but with an official endorsement, and all the players were women for some reason.
I wonder did they have to buy those balls with their gash?
Recently, a closed beta for Global Offensive started in preparation for the game's release later this year. Since Source original creator Min Le has left Valve but recently unveiled his own CS-inspired project, Tactical Intervention. Thousands still play 1.6 and Source online today, and with many complaining about stagnation in the first-person online genre, could we be on the brink of a new revolution? For those of us who grew up with it, those halcyon days of Counter-Strike may never be fully realised again. Dialing into a game with a 56k modem, playing knife rounds for a laugh, burning away endless summer days and winter's nights on the same 5 maps over and over. The world of online shooters has changed, but if Valve can recapture even an ounce of that soul, we're in for a treat.
So, are you looking forward to Global Offensive? When was the last time you played Counter-Strike? Or has this whole series just passed you by? As ever, let us know in the comment box below, or feel free to contact me directly on the Twitters. Thanks again for watching this episode of Escape from Mount Stupid. If you're interested in seeing any of our older episodes from last season, or the 2 we've already done this season, you can go to our show page by clicking on the title of the video right now. You can also subscribe there if you so wish. I hope you can join us next week, where we'll be doing something incredibly important to celebrate how Jesus died for our sins, so that we can eat chocolate eggs. Crucifixalicious.